Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, June 7th, 2020. We're halfway through this transformational year. Good morning, Juan. It's great to see you. Oh, my goodness. It feels like just yesterday I was talking about the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in January. And here we have, this retrogrades are bringing all these planets together. Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. The world is transforming its beliefs. And in my morning meditation, I was asking Spirit how I could best facilitate the ease of this transformation. And I kept hearing over and over again that, are you willing to allow others their beliefs if they're not in alignment with yours? And that feels like a really big question right now. Am I willing to allow others their beliefs if they're not in alignment with mine? Good morning, Yuritsi. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, CJD. Good morning, Small Wildflowers. Good morning, Elizabeth. Good morning, Shelley. So here we are. I feel like we're in the middle of the American Revolutionary War. We're in the middle of some sort of liberating dynamic that offers us, like the butterfly, transformation through trauma. Good morning, Cosmo Kid. Good morning, Love Mystery. Good morning, Tajana. I hope I got everybody. Chris Moose. Okay. Good morning, Nirvana Flux. So I was just thinking, I listened to Lada's new video, which was really interesting, about the various levels of vibration and frequency and ascension. And so much of it was in alignment with what I have learned. And as I was listening to it, I was thinking to myself, so much of this dynamic refers to the law of allowing. I want others to allow me my dreams, my aspirations, my path in life. And my job maybe right now is to allow that of others. So good morning, Lorelei. I'm not saying that quite right. And good morning, Katerina. Good morning, B94. Good morning, Masuma. Namaste, 1111. So anyway, I'm living in California. I think most of you know that. And it's been quite a demonstrative week. A lot of people explaining or expressing themselves and what they're looking for in the world. And yes, Rudolf Steiner. It was a very interesting video. It gripped me. I didn't get up for 2 hours listening to it. And it reminded me of things that I had forgotten about. So, and one of those things, guys, is that the earth plane is grandly designed to offer us contrasting experiences. And in doing so, it offers us choice. And that choice is where the true ascension lies. So there is the polarity of night and day, of darkness and light, of good and evil. So it's kind of a challenging dynamic to really wrap your head around when you think somebody is evil, when you've seen them perpetrate atrocities. And yet there's choice somewhere in there. So good morning, White Dragon Orion, Starseed Ambassador. That's a nice long name. I like to acknowledge everybody in the chat because I want to tell, for those of you that are new here, yes, we do readings every Sunday morning, but that's the B story. The A story is to create community, to create a tribe, to create a sense of support, and to exchange ideas and philosophies and vibrations. Because I believe that as we sit in our homes or in our cars watching these videos, we're like lighthouses, and we put a light up into this world and create a fellowship. That's right, Cosmo Kid. And in doing so, we help the balance here. So Shelley, what were you saying? Who has a purpose to be here? I missed that part. Good morning, Tebow. Good to see you. Anyway, so what I'm getting at is we're not done with these transformational times. We're not done with making choices. We're not done with the stars supporting these challenging dynamics. And I say that because in the challenge there is choice. So Elizabeth, yes, I know there was a tropical storm coming to Mississippi. I heard that yesterday. Been sending lots of love and peace for you guys to be able to enjoy the storm's beauty without it affecting you in any negative ways. So I want to just offer, we had the lunar eclipse, and it was in Sagittarius, as I recall. And that's where I was really going on to the whole idea of beliefs and of watching. I went on a bit of a media detox, but not so much so that I was unaware. So I was watching people trying to stretch and create a bridge between the polarities that we're experiencing. And I felt like that's part of the energetic frequency I would like to purport. So that's what I think we do here on Sunday mornings. We do more than just do readings and connect in a spiritual way. I think we're helping move the story forward, move the story of balance forward, move the story of acceptance forward, move the story of love forward. So, all right, so that's where I have to go with that. All right, everybody. I missed something somewhere in the chat. All right, guys, I'm going to start with the readings. And as you know, I go backwards. Pisces, I start with Pisces and I move my way towards Aries. And we're going to start there. So here we go. Let's see what the angels have to say for us this week and how we can maneuver these transits to the highest vibration. CJD, the eclipse was interesting for me because being so close to Los Angeles, and there were protests and riots and very polarizing energies. I saw people fearing, little people, children fearing just because they are so unsure of their place. You know, it was like yesterday everything was fine and today everything is kooky. And I saw people of color, both black and white, doing their best to bridge the gap between these polarities. And it really touched my soul because it takes a moment to get out of our own way sometimes in our passions. We can be very passionate about balance and inadvertently create imbalance. So when I saw this police officer take a knee and tell this little girl, I'm here to protect you. I'm not here to hurt you. It just made me cry, honestly, because I think that's really what we all want, is to tell each other that we're here to support each other, whether we're big people or little people. And sometimes it's easier to have empathy for a small, innocent face than it is in a seasoned professional on the planet. So anyway, overall, the eclipse, made me very emotional, a little bit very reflective, and very aware that somewhere we're writing history right now. So that's where I'm at. So here we go. I'm going to start with Pisces now. Good morning, Les. Good to see you. Good morning, bomb.com. Okay, I got everybody so far, I think. All right. We've got Mercury going retrograde in a couple of weeks, so that'll be interesting. And we have another eclipse coming at the end of the month. I think we're going to have 3 when all is said and done before the season is over. So as we're gentle with ourselves in this transformation, humans tend to want to push, to create, to be productive. And maybe this is a time to be reflective. And then production will come. Okay. All right, here we go. Pisces, rising, sun, moon, and stelliums. Good morning, Patricia. Good to see you. Okay. Our first angel for Pisces is Archangel Uriel. Then we have Archangel Raphael. We have Chantal. And then we have Bridget. Okay. Angela, I agree. I was very disheartened by that. It was, this is part of the polarity. This is part of the, Lada referred to some of the darkness that people are purporting in some ways offers others an opportunity to be of light, to be of compassion, to be of empathy, and to stand in some sort of holding space for a higher vibration to reveal itself. Before this whole pandemic started, before these protests and these inequalities were revealed again, there was a period when I remember hearing on the news that people were random acts of violence, and people were just like running down the street and then knocking people, or running down the sidewalk and knocking people into the street. And again, I think this is part of this huge, it's like this, I hate to refer it to this way, but it's like a zit. And before it gets better, it hurts, and you can't always see the head of the zit, and it needs to do its thing so that it can then heal. So let's just all do our best to be of light, to be calm, to be patient with the period of time we're going through. Okay, so we have, let me just recap for Pisces, rising, sun, moon, and stellium. We have Archangel Uriel in the foundational position, Archangel Raphael in the opportunity or the obstacle. We have Chantal in the angel's advice, and then we have Bridget. Okay, so Archangel Uriel is being joined by the cow. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the queen. Chantal is being joined by the wealth card, and Bridget is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. So Pisces, how I see this is that Archangel Uriel will talk about helping you deal with anger, frustration, being pissed off, being at a heightened sense that, and this is where the world is. This is where we're all feeling, And then we have the cow. The cow is about nourishment. It's about asking and receiving. It's about abundance. And I feel like when I look at this for Pisces, that it's really dealing with the frustration of the lack of give and take. That's what I think it's about. I think it's the lack of compassion, the lack of looking at each other as humans, as souls that are inhabiting an experience. And I feel like Pisces, naturally rules the 12th house. It's a spiritual house. It's a reflective house. And I think might be where Pisces is feeling the energies of this transformation so much. And in the opportunity of the obstacle, we have the queen, and we have Archangel Raphael offering us a healing. I don't believe this is about dominion, and I don't believe that the queen is about a feminine energy. I believe it's about a receptive energy and an opportunity to see a healing that apparently, or that there is the opportunity that disruption is the opportunity to bring a healing to this planet and to seek out the light within the darkness, because in the angel's advice, I have Chantal and the wealth card. The wealth card for me is always harmonious wealth. It's never about material wealth. It's about feeling and thriving in all the facets of my body, my physical body, my mental body, my emotional body, and the other family bodies, etc. And Chantal's a resurgence of love. So I feel like this is about Pisces really focusing in on love at the end of the day. And when I say this, it's not about the romantic love when everything is great. It's the hard part of love where it's seeing things beyond the dust, beyond what appears to be the darkness. It's holding that space. Because in the final position, we have Bridget, which is really asking an angel that asks us to look deeper into the dynamic. And then we have the Lady of the Lake that asks us to have courage and truth during an emotionally disruptive time, to be able to see that there is a wisdom to this, that these are layers of the human experience offering us more and more acceptance to see us as individuals versus as collective groups that are separate from us. I hope that makes sense. I want to say this sometimes, Angela, when we get into the big collectives and we get into the ideas of government and large structures, I have asked Spirit, because I can get very frustrated with the way things are run, and I've asked Spirit to give me the heart to understand that there may be a bigger picture, and for me to be able to, in my small world, in what is I am influential, to hold the vibration. So if I can't affect a bigger picture, maybe I can hold the vibration in my small little world that will then send a ripple effect. I hope that makes sense. I know, CJD, it is right now. I mean, the retrogrades, the eclipses, the planets involved in the retrogrades. It's beyond. And that's why I think there's a little part of us that has to sort of tuck in, because if we get too out there, we can get caught in that tidal wave of injustice, the tidal wave of imbalance. And that imbalance and that injustice offers us an opportunity to stand in balance and justice. Years ago, I worked for this guy, and there was another guy in our office, and honestly, he was a complete jerk, and he was very contrary. He would say one thing and do another. And I used to get so pissed off at this guy. And my boss pulled me in his office one day and he said, Teri, he said, you're right. That guy's a total blah, blah, blah. But when you go up against him, you become just like him. And you think you're standing in justice, but in some way you're mirroring him. And I was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming at all. And it really gave me an opportunity for self-reflection and to stop looking over here and to start looking here. And how do I want to show up? And where's my focus going to go? So, all right, here we go. Okay, we're going to go on to our Aquariuses. Rising Sun, Moon, and Stellium. Again, I go backwards. I start at Pisces and work my way towards Aries. I want to welcome Rye Flores. I want to welcome Latoya Banks. I know there's some other people I missed, so I want to send some love to y'all. And here we go. Again, this is Angel's advice for traversing the transits. And I start with rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And I say stelliums because when you have a concentration of planets in one area in your chart, it will really have an influence on you. Rye, you can always go back and rewind if you like. Okay. Here we go, Aquarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Good morning, Lele, or Lele. Hope I said that right. Okay, here we go. Our first angel is Yvonne. The second is Adriana. The third is Patience. And the final is Serena. Okay, whoop. Okay. Give it a good shuffle. All right, here we go. Aquarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Joining Yvonne is the Raven. Joining Adriana is the Novice. Joining the Patience card is the Forgiveness card. And joining Serena is the Letting Go card. So, first thing I want to say about Aquarius is it's ruled by Uranus. Uranus is about individual, unique thought and expression. And when I looked at this, I thought to myself, this had something to do with Aquarius and their professional life and being a little bit more vulnerable to the things that they want as we move through these transformational times. Because Yvonne, while she will talk about working with animals, loving animals, I always see it as vulnerability. I never had children. I'm 60 years old, and my animals have always been my kids. So whenever I've been super stressed or worried about something, I would dream about my animals. And it was always like somewhere they were lost and I had to find them. I was chasing them. So in some ways, for my Aquarius, this is about chasing your dreams. It's about being vulnerable to a higher vibration of what you want to experience in your professional body. And then the Raven is about magic, coincidence, and timing. Meaning sometimes there are certain things that must come into play to facilitate your dream. So someone else has to get into one position in order to offer you the other position. That's where I'm going with this, because Aquarius, in your opportunity, your obstacle is Adriana saying she's leading you towards the answers to your dreams. And when I say dreams, it's the things you want to experience in this world that you have yet to experience. And there, she will nudge you. She will nudge you through some weird coincidences, through hearing the same thing over and over again through other people, because it's time for a new beginning. And it's time to start to implement ideas that have only really been in your mental process, in the conceptual process. Because as you have gathered information, because this is the angel's advice, you have been gathering information, and there will be a reconciliation of why things took so long. In some respects, as we individualize ourselves and we know what we want and we start to move forward, we can inadvertently go back to how we're going to get it and the obstacles. And sometimes that will block us because we can't see how to get around it. And that's where Adriana is saying, no, I'm going to have to show you how to get around that. And then that will make sense to you. You'll be like, oh. And this is how Aquarius will learn how to pass the baton back and forth from yourself to spirit. Because in the final position this is a beautiful combination. Serena, the angel of abundance. This is material abundance, and it comes from ease. It comes from trusting God and the angels. And then we have the letting go card. For those of you that have been around a while, you know that this is the song Let It Go from Frozen. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test limits, to break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. And part of that comes from being vulnerable to a timing. When I started my spiritual journey, I was very young. I was in grammar school when my grandma was studying astrology, and I used to lay on the ground and I used to stare up at the clouds, and I was sure that God was trying to send me a message. I was looking for it. And then in high school, I started studying the tarot and going and getting readings. What I didn't know as I was being drawn to this path was that I would have to wait for the internet to be invented before I would be able to really have a profession at this. And if you would have told me in my 20s that I would have to wait to be 50, I might have jumped off a cliff. But, on the backside of this, I get it. I get that all those years I was gathering information. I was learning inadvertently through my own experience as well as what I was being taught. So now for Aquarius, it's an opportunity for you to truly live your truth, your difference, your Uranian unique expression, and to get it in some ways rooted in a Saturnian energy. I hope that makes sense. And I don't mean it in the dry, cold Saturn way, as much as your uniqueness is rooted, and you will find benefit from it. You will find abundance from it in many different ways. Because sometimes abundance doesn't just cold hard cash. Sometimes it's other things. So let's go on to our Capricorns. Okay. You know, I have to say, for my little tribe, you guys are one hungry group. You talk a lot about food, okay? Sometimes I feel like we're on an episode of Survivor and we've all been eating rice for weeks and all we can dream about are burgers and fries and ketchup and sundaes. Okay, here we go. Welcome, Violet. I didn't say hi to you. Here we go, Capricorn, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Thank you, Jules. And thank you, Les. I think you mentioned you like the curly hair earlier. Okay, here we go. Capricorns, my little goats. I think of a few of my clients and one of my friends who doesn't study astrology. He doesn't know anything about it, and he has a stellium in Capricorn, and it's been playing out for the last 2 years in such a big way. And yeah, he still thinks it's Habaloo. Okay, Capricorn. Our first angel is Crystal. The second is Xana. The third is Fiona, and the final is Ray. I did have a haircut, Tebow. I bribed her to come to my house. I needed a haircut so much. Oh, I remember that, Angela. I could sing that, food, glorious food. And then there's another line, but I won't do it. Because sometimes when people are watching the playback, I think they think I'm nuts because they don't read the chat. All right, here we go. For our goats, joining Crystal is the Queen. Joining Xana is the dog. Joining Fiona is the deer. And joining Ray is the mystery. Okay. So this has been interesting for me because I have felt this transformation coming for Capricorns. You know, you're an earth sign. You're really good at the material plane. And I feel like this last couple of years has offered transformation to trust an inner knowing, to trust a more ethereal, energetic dynamic. And here we have the Queen and we have Crystal. Crystal says, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And then the Queen, we talked about earlier about this is a receptive energy. And I feel like as we go through this retrograde, as we go from Saturn being in Aquarius and then going back into its natural sign, that this is an opportunity to reflect on how to anchor the higher vibrations of Saturn, how to take all the hard work of your being energy, Capricorn. Let me be clear when I talk about the being energy. The being energy is what do I believe as I endeavor a situation. In the past, I believed that Capricorn thinks I have to work hard, I have to be on time, I have to put in 60 hours a week because it isn't good if I don't. And what if that transformation is, it's about the quality of my time. It's not about the quantity of my time, and trusting my being energy, because in my opportunity or my obstacle, I have Xana saying that you're being protected. And here is the dog. And the protection comes through the lens of love, through the lens of self-compassion, through the lens of trusting your being energy, Capricorn, because in the angel's advice is about the deer asking you to be gentle and diplomatic as God and the angels take over the next step of bringing in your manifestation. Remember, here we have this having faith and hope because there's more than you can see on the horizon. So we're living in these disruptive times. Many of you may have issues with your jobs. Your jobs may have been either taken away completely, or maybe your pay was cut, or there could be challenges that have put you in a place of thinking ahead, planning ahead, and worrying on some level. And now is a time to take this last few years of transformation, of the opportunities that Pluto and Saturn brought to you, and to allow for a bigger picture. Because here I have Ray and the choice card in the form of the mystery. Ray, for me, while she talks about yoga and exercise on the face of the card, she is sitting in a meditative position with her power chakra connected to her heart chakra and her communications. And she's sending that energy up to spirit. So now here it is where you're saying, Spirit, I am ready to receive. I'm ready to see a bigger picture of what I want in my life experience here, to be an intentional creator and a co-creator with spirit. And I feel like that gives you a sense of groundedness, a sense of taking what is more conceptual and bringing it into the earth plane. It's about bringing crystal's energy into the earth plane. Okay, going on to our Sagittariuses. Okay. Here we go, Laura Lee. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Lori Lay, maybe? I almost pulled my hair up in a clip today, you guys. I did. I had a mentorship program session with Brian Coulter yesterday, and it was the first time I pulled my hair straight up on top of my head. I had to do it so early in the morning, I couldn't even be bothered to put it down. So I just clipped it up, and I was really glad I didn't have to look at myself because my ears are kind of pointy. Okay, here we go. Hi, CC Pops. Welcome. Good morning. Hi, Zoe R. Okay, here we go. We are on to Sagittarius. Oh, Tebow, you're so funny. Here we go. Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay. Our first angel is Francesca. The second is Chantal. The third is Shanti. And the final is Crystal. Mandy, when we get to Cancer, remind me of your question, and I will try to do my best to clarify that for you. Okay, here we go. Sagittarius. Okay, here we go. Francesca is being joined by the Earth Fairy. Chantal is being joined by the Wind Fairy. Shanti's being joined by the Protection card. And Crystal's being joined by the Eagle. So the first thing I think about when I think Sagittarius is obviously we just had this lunar eclipse, and Sagittarius represents our beliefs, represents connection to the angelic realm. It represents foreign ideas, foreign people, foreign places, foreign travel. And I feel like for my Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, Francesca says, what do you visualize right now? It will come about. Negativity will block your progress. And then I have the Earth Fairy. I feel like this is a grounding of your connection to spirit. One of the things I've learned doing this work and being an entrepreneur is that I literally go to spirit and say, thank you for bringing me all the people who will best be served by my gifts and my talents. And then I take my actions in the marketing, in posting, in creating videos. That to me for Sagittarius is now, I feel like you are grounding. You are bringing into the earth experience your conceptions, your ideas, and you're learning how to create them into the 3D experience. And I'm going to say that I'm going to jump to the final position because here's Crystal saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And here's the connection to the angelic realm in the form of the eagle. So I believe that what Sagittarius is starting to experience is that co-creation with spirit. As you put a concept, it's kind of like, have you ever done the parking space experiment where you're like, okay, Hey, angels, it's time for me. It's Christmas time and I need a good parking space. And then you're driving down and somebody pulls out and you get in and you're like, oh my God, it works. It's the same concept, only on a bigger scale. Because for Sagittarius, as you visualize what you want and you bring this, you start to experience it in the earth plane, you start to play with your thoughts in a way that you really start to get excited about it. Chantal represents love, represents the loving energy. And here's the mind. Okay, here's the thinking. And I feel like this is about you getting this baton passing of your thoughts are starting the impetus of your creation. And in doing so, you're bringing in a new sense of peace for yourself and feeling more protected by those that watch over us. You know, Lada was absolutely right in there are levels of vibration. And the angels that are reflected in these cards are that first kind of point of entry. They are there to work with us and our humans and start that process of ascension. So as we call upon them, they go into action, and I get chills everywhere when I say this. So here is our opportunity for Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums to put their directive to spirit and then to wait on some level for that inspiration to move things forward to the next level. And as you get more and more rhythm of this, it feels like it anchors it into the earth plane. Now, let me offer it this way for you. And in doing so, you get to plug into Sagittarius, the teacher, because words don't teach, experience teaches. And as you allow yourself to go into the unknown and then to focus in on how it would feel when you get what it is you want, whatever it is, whether it's the next bill being paid, whether it be love, whatever the story is, you create an earthbound experience that others experience through you, which then helps anchor the dynamic and hence moving the story forward. Okay, that's it for Sagittarius. Let's go on to Scorpio. Okay. Good morning, Elvia Rose. Well, I like to say hi to everybody. Okay. Going on to Scorpio, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay. Our first angel is Adriana. The second is Athena. The third is Patience. And the final is Chantal. Well, that's so cool, Shelley. Did you pull it from the Kyle Gray deck, the Angels and Ancestors? Because we are going into the summer season here in this hemisphere. And summer is just, the season of fun. Okay. Cool. Okay. Scorpio. Joining Adriana is the spider. Joining Athena is Merlin. Joining Patience is the Truth card. And joining Chantal is the Deer. So when I think about Scorpio, I really think about that whole avatar. I see you, you see me. When we're in love, when we're in a relationship, I don't care if it's a friendship relationship. All relationships from Scorpio feel at a deeper level of connectedness. I don't want to say intensity in this because I don't want to give the impression of a pressurized situation. I feel like it's much more real. That's how I want to put it. It's like Scorpio says, you know what? Let's take off the mask. I want to see it. the ugly, the good, the bad, the whatever it is, because I'm willing to see that, because I'm hoping you're willing to see that in me. So the reason I say that is because when I saw Adriana, she's saying she's leading us to the answers to our prayers, and the spider's a relationship card for me. And I really think that there's many of you that are wanting to be seen at a deeper level in your relationships. And I don't want to say just your intimate relationships, although that would be indicated here at the end. But I think it's more about, I also want to say it kind of like this for my Scorpios. It's almost like other people may feel slightly intimidated by your intensity, by the depth of your emotion and your ability to come back from the darkness, to be able to kind of go down that drain and then pull yourself back up. And I feel like that's a part of you that you should trust a little bit deeper and not always look on the outside of yourself for people to understand that. Because in the opportunity, the obstacle is Merlin. That's balance, pressure. It's justice is a karmic card, and it's time for Scorpio to assert themselves really the way they want, to lovingly assert yourself and yet not dumb down. It's almost like to assert yourself without making the other person wrong. Because in the angel's advice is the patience card and the truth card. And how I feel like this is the truth is that you are strong. And the truth is that you pay attention. That Scorpio, of all the signs, you can say you're intuitive, but there's a slight bit of the controlling dynamic when you think of the Pluto. Pluto will stoke your intuition because you're paying attention to what could potentially be something that would be challenging. Because again, Pluto rules transformation. So I feel like for Scorpio, that you are being led to relationships, both intimate and otherwise, that reflect a deeper sense of who and what you are, and not necessarily because other people are standing in acceptance of you, but that you're standing in acceptance of yourself and the rich emotions with which you are inherent to you. Because here I have Chantal, the angel of romance, talking about the resurgence of romance or a new romance coming in. And here I'm not seeing fear like the deer in the headlights. I'm seeing being gentle with myself as I move forward. I'm seeing this, I'm being led to at some point right now. I'm not able to push the relationship. I have to be open to receiving that relationship and allowing the transformation of it, because it's going to come through some sort of pressure in me expressing myself and not allowing myself to get to the place of being frustrated before I express myself, so that I can truly stand in the deeper truth of what I'm looking for. And here it is. It's love in a way of gentleness and diplomacy. And when I say that, it's about Scorpio sort of is like Leo in some respects because of the stinger. They can always be like, "Oh, Scorpio, you're a stinger." And I think that there's a part of you that when you go to a deep truth, that the other person may accuse you of being a stinger, but you're not. You're just saying the deeper truth that they don't like to hear. So now it's about allowing yourself to see that there is dynamics and there is the opportunity for people to accept how you are and how you express yourself without villainizing you for the truth that they won't address. Did that make sense? I hope so. I'm trying to think of how I could give you an example of what I'm trying to say, because it's almost like Scorpio is speaking a truth that someone else doesn't want to hear. And it's not about the truth. It's about how you express that truth. And that's a little bit where that gentleness and diplomacy comes in. I was talking to a client yesterday, and I was telling them that sometimes it's not what you say, but how you say it. And then I used the F word, because you can say that word with a million different inflections. And sometimes it sounds celebratory and excited, and sometimes it's like really angry. So I wanted them to be aware of, the inflection and the tone as they speak. It's not just the words. So that's where I was going. Okay, headed on to our Libras now. I go backwards for those of you that are new to this show. I started Pisces and worked my way towards Aries. I started this now, what feels like so many retrogrades ago. And my Libra sense of fairness was like, I'm not going to go back. I'm just going to be that one person. So here we go. On to our Libra rising, sun, moon, and stelliums. Yes, exactly, Stephen. It's all those things. It's a noun, a pronoun, a verb, an adjective. Oh, stellium the seventh. Oh, Livy, yeah, you want to pay attention. Okay, here we go. I'm going to give it a good shuffle. All right. Our first angel is Merlina. The second is Bridget. The third is Francesca. And the final is Angel. Shelley, I agree about bees. I do think they're a sign of good luck and prosperity. And they're also, to me, very much about my being energy and paying attention to that. Oh, yes, Tessa, the diplomacy gene right now is it's hard to, it's hard. It was so weird. I went to, as I shuffle for Libra, I went to a restaurant that recently reopened, and it has a market and a seating area. And there was a line, and I asked, "Hello, are you guys in line for the market?" And like everyone ignored me, and so I said it again, and this woman snapped at me, and I just thought to myself, "Don't respond." It's that time when people are just irritated. So, yeah. The more conscious we can be, the better we'll be. Okay, here we go. Good morning, Jerry. Good to see you. Welcome. And I don't know, Sabrina? Okay. Joining Merlina for Libra is the Fire Fairy. Joining Bridget is the Love card. Joining Francesca is the Bee card, Shelley. And then we have, joining Indriel is the Frog. So being a Libra, and it's not necessarily the strongest dynamic in my chart, although it is the sun for me. When I looked at Merlina and the Fire Fairy, I thought these are confusing times. These are times that feel unjust. They feel unfair. They feel obviously disruptive. And Libra loves peace and harmony, and for everybody to feel that everything is fair. I remember when I was a little girl walking down the street. I mean, literally, must have been like 6 or 7 years old. And I was walking with my dad, and I was complaining about the world not being fair. And he said, "Teri, that's just the way it rolls." And I looked at him and I said, "That's a choice, Dad. It's a choice to be unfair." And I think that sometimes is what Libra may struggle with, is that people make choices that seem unfair. So here we have Merlina saying we're confused. And then there's the Fire Fairy asking us to be optimistic. It's almost as if Spirit is saying during these times, because this is, look, again, we're in so many retrogrades. We are in the eclipses. Eclipses offering fated events, not for every single person, but now we look at the world dynamic. This could be a world dynamic of fated events. And in doing so, our job as Libras is to hold a positive light for what we cannot see, because there's more. I want to say this way, oftentimes the disruption leads to more balance. Something challenging leads to something good. How often have you looked back in your own life and you're like, well, that crappy thing led to this great thing? I know it's happened to me many, many times. So there's a part of me that sort of has to suspend my conclusion of the situation and kind of go to a higher vibration. And I kind of laugh at myself because I have this Neptune Mercury conjunction in Scorpio. And sometimes I think it does make it's easier for me to see a more romanticized version of things, because here for Libra, Bridget is asking us to look deeper and to look for love. Sometimes love is disruptive. Sometimes love says no. And I think that's where we're going, because in the angel's advice is Francesca saying, what do you visualize? Negativity will block your progress. And there's the B. I really feel like this is a moment for Libra, Libra rising, moon, sun, and stelliums to hold a diplomatic vibration of 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 light, so that the world can clean itself up. And I feel like this is almost like the rings on a tree, it's like our little individual worlds we hold space for, and in doing so we hold space for our neighborhoods, and in doing so we hold space for our communities and our counties and our state and our region, and so on and so on and so on. I feel very much like this is about being optimistic during dark, confusing, unsure times, and that the only way to go is to look for love. And in doing so, allowing ourselves to focus in on sometimes or paying attention to the idea that some people are standing in a disruptive energy and they think they're standing in love. So rather than trying to school them, it's holding back, it's holding a space for the world to emotionally reconcile where they're going, where they've been, and what they want to experience. This feels very much like it's outside Libra's. While it's semi in your personal world, I feel like it's also about, like, when you're watching the news, when you're watching TV and the sad, Target commercials come on because the graduates didn't get to walk their path and celebrate their accomplishments. That's where I feel like it's about holding a bigger space, that there's a wisdom behind all of this. Okay, going on to our Virgos. Livy, I'm so sorry to hear that. Sending love and light to you. Oh my goodness, that can never be easy. Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that. Your heart, may it mend. May God and the angels surround you as you walk a path that no parent should have to walk. I'm so sorry to hear that. Cosmo Kid, I can't watch the news anymore either. It not only hurts my heart, it puts me in such a dark place. It makes me cry. I've cried more this last week watching TV while the commercials are consoling people, and it's just so, yeah. So if we could all just take a minute and send some love to Livy Dodd about her loss. It cannot be easy. And then I think we'll go on to our Virgos. As I say that, Livy, I want to say that I believe that your son will be giving you signs and may have already done so, that he has transitioned. I feel there's some sort of ease to his transition, or he's adapted very well in 9 days. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout. Okay, here we go, Virgo. Rising sun, moon, and stelliums. As I know that the people just watching the video are going to get annoyed with me, but I have to go back to Livy a little bit. And what Stephen is saying about a friend who's feeling depressed and lost. If you think about how this is stacking up, you guys, first we go through all of these transformational energies in 2019. We thought 2019 was like, oh my God, let's just get over with it. We'll get into 2020 and things will calm down. And it didn't. It got even more intense. And the energies, even if we're not being hit in the face with it, we're feeling our communities. And so this feeling of being depressed and lost is natural. And I'm finding people who are very accomplished wondering what their purpose is. Why am I even on this planet? And sometimes the answer to that question is a faith-based answer. There's no hardcore evidence What is your purpose on this planet? Why am I here? And oftentimes, God has shown me that it is about just being, just being. It isn't about changing the world or being, anything more than what you want to be. So I want to offer this during these times of transformation, during the times of loss, of unsureness, of sometimes I can't even speak to Livy's journey right now, to the pain that must be as a parent, how what the kind of what ifs that run through your mind. And I feel like the best thing that we can do as a collective is to have compassion for ourselves during our times of unknowing, for it to be okay to feel like, I want to cry. It's a good time to cry. It's an appropriate time. It's why God gave us tears, so that we could emote. And then there's being able to find the light, to be able to remember that for every darkness, there is a dawn, and just hanging in there. All right, here we go. On to our Virgos. Virgo rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, we got a whole bunch of these cards turn over. Here we go. Thank you, Livy. Sending lots of love to you. Okay, here we go. Our first angel is Xana. The second is Azure. The third is Athena. And the final is Celeste. Xana is being joined by the serpent. Azure is being joined by Merlin. Athena is being joined by the fear card. And Celeste is being joined by the forgiveness card. Okay, so for my Virgos, Xana talks about protection, that the worst is behind you. This for me is oftentimes spiritual and emotional protection. I don't really think of it as physical protection. And then we have the serpent offering us a healing, offering us an opportunity to shed a skin. And I'm going to go to the final position because here I have the forgiveness card and I have Celeste. Forgiveness for me is never about forgiving somebody. It's about the reconciliation of an experience. It's about understanding the experience so that I can transform it into a tool that propels me to greater heights of love and understanding overall. And then I have Celeste. Celeste will talk about a new home, a new place of employment, changing the way I view things. But more times than not, 99 out of 100 times, I will see Celeste as a shift in my thinking. Because you can put me in any physical location and my beliefs aren't going to change. I'm going to take my actions based on those beliefs. So somewhere for Virgo, you are being protected as you shed an old skin that did not serve you, and you allow yourself permission to shift your beliefs. You will experience something that will anchor that, because in your opportunity or your obstacle, Azure says, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have faith and don't try to force anything. And then there's Merlin. Merlin is balance through pressure. It's alchemy. It's where things come into the physical experience to be enjoyed. And the angels are asking you to lovingly assert yourself through your fears. It's almost as if you're asking yourself, what evidence is there, Virgo, that I will not achieve? Yes, there's evidence that I might not achieve, and then there's evidence that I might achieve. And it's about deciphering that, and that will help you reconcile how you've been thinking, that will then move you into a space closer and more authentic to where you want to be and what you want to experience. So I want to give you sort of a hardcore or a concrete example of what I'm saying. Virgo could potentially be like, okay, I see I have $100 in my bank account and I have $150 worth of bills. Inadvertently, Virgo could be focusing in on, I'm lacking $50. I'm lacking $50. Spirit is saying, as you trust that you're being protected, oh, that $50 will show up. It gives you an opportunity to shed a skin, which then gives you an experience where you start to anchor your faith, even though it's through pressure. It's through some sort of unknowing. And then you start to realize that as I assert myself to see false evidence appearing real, it's a projection. Most of what I'm thinking is a projection. And then I shift the way I'm thinking. And when I shift the way I'm thinking, I shift the way I'm manifesting. And when I shift the way I'm manifesting, I'm shifting my experiences that then anchor into this 3D world and then offer others an opportunity to experience my shift and thereby offering them an opportunity and an invitation to create their own shift. All right, let's go on to our Leos. That's Leo rising, sun, moon, and stellium. All right, here we go. Did I say good morning to Maria? I hope I did. Good morning, Maria. Hi, King. Welcome. All right, here we go, Leo. I identify with my rising sign most as well. Yes, Livy, you can rewind during the live, and then the video will be up later. And the generous people in our tribe put up the timestamps. Both Small Wildflowers and Juan have been doing that for us. So that's awesome. All right, here we go, Leo. Give it a good shuffle. Our first angel is Crystal. The second is Maya. The third is Merlina. And the final is Chantal. Well, we're seeing some commonalities coming along through here, which I always find so interesting. You guys watch me shuffle. I try to shuffle pretty thoroughly. And here we're seeing themes of love, of unknowingness, of learning about our energy as we stand in a vibration of what we want versus what we're in. Okay. Tessa, I would agree with, that's why I say rising moon, sun, and stellium, because the moon represents our emotions. And for me, that represents our beliefs and where we take our actions based on. So that makes perfect sense to me. Oop. All right, here we go. I'll go over them, Shelley. Crystal is being joined by the Serpent. Maya is being joined by the Death card. Merlina is being joined by the Communications card. And Chantal is being joined by the Deer. So the first position represents the foundational position. It's what we're starting on. It's our energetic stepping stone, our platform. So here for Leo, we have Crystal asking us to have faith and hope that there's more on the horizon than we can see. And then we see the Serpent. You know, as a global community, we have experienced fear and unrest and injustice in ways that are unprecedented. Our information highway. I'm not saying that these crimes have not been perpetrated in the same volume. It just feels like we're so much more aware of it. And in being aware of it, we're wanting a different experience. And so for my Leos, when I see this idea of Crystal saying have faith and hope and that there's healing and knowledge, I feel like in so many ways this has to do with Leo represents the fifth house. The fifth house represents romance, children, personal pleasures, our own unique expression. So I feel like what I'm looking at is that this is an opportunity for Leo to stand in a bit of an unknowing and hold space for a transformation. Maya's schooling and education, and then there's the transformation in the form of the death card. That the angels are saying you're confused and indecisive in the form of Merlina because you don't have enough information. And this is the communications card. I don't think that this is about not having enough information from the information highway over the internet or our news or any of that. I think it's about the connection to spirit. I think it could potentially be that the communication really is in connecting with your guides and your angels in such a way that, I talk about meditation and I talk about walking meditations. And I want to say that I feel like potentially for my Leos, it's time to get out into the sunshine, to get out into the world, to look for signs and omens, because there is, when I look at Chantal right now, Chantal representing romance and love, and then the deer representing gentleness and diplomacy, I feel like it's about Leo holding space for a new order. And when I say a new order, I mean it in such a way where our personal pleasures are no longer frivolous. They're no longer the side dish. They're no longer considered selfish, but rather more the norm. And as we stand in this way that our personal pleasures also allow others their personal pleasures. And I want to say that too, personal opinions, ideas, philosophies, the way we want to run our earthly experience, I feel like that opens us up to more love. So I want to say this for Leo. I feel like, again, this is a bit of an unknowing, and it feels also like an unknowing about when am I going to get to actually go have fun? When am I going to actually get to go sit in a restaurant and kibitz at a bar again and chat with the stranger next door or sitting next to me? That kind of silly fun outdoor concerts. And now it's about holding space for that in a bigger way, and a bigger way in the sense that Leo will be more understood, or the Leo energy will be more understood. The idea of our enjoyment taking precedence over that nose to the grindstone kind of energy, that deep, heavy Saturnian energy. Okay, let's go on to Cancers. Happy birthday, CC Pups. I'm trying not to interrupt myself during the reading for those that are just doing the timestamps. I hope you're enjoying your day. I hope you're enjoying your celebrating your solar return. Okay. I would also be curious, CC Pups, if indeed this this eclipse we had 2 days ago, how that might have affected you. Did it shift things around? Did you feel it more than maybe others? I know it didn't hit any of my personal spots. Thank you. I'm so pleased with that. I've already got Pluto squaring my sun and Jupiter squaring my Mars and my ascendant, and it's just been going on forever and a day. All right, here we go. On to our Cancers. Okay, Mandy said, when will Cancer relationships do better? They've been difficult to deal with. Okay, yes, Mandy, let's look at that. Because I have felt that Cancer has been having challenges with their relationships and feeling loved and valued within them. So let's see what Spirit has to say for this week about that. The masks are interesting, Tessa. Luckily, I don't have to wear one very often. I just have to wear it in the market real quick. But yeah, it's all kind of interesting. I don't really know what to say. I think it's making people cranky to have to breathe their own bad breath all day long. Ugh. Did I say that? Bad breath. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. We have Archangel Uriel, we have Athena, we have Yvonne, and we have Archangel Gabriel. Oh, the Carpenters. I love the Carpenters. I know every word practically to every song that they put out in the 70s, at least the early 70s. Woo. Okay. Joining Archangel Uriel is the King. Joining Athena is the Burden card. Joining Yvonne is the Water Fairy. And joining Archangel Gabriel is the Mystery card. All right, my Cancers. Archangel Uriel deals with frustration, anger, unforgiveness. He really works on a subtle level because those energies are dense. They're when we're sitting in a place of righteous indignation, it's hard to open up a little bit. And I want to say it this way because I feel like in some ways Cancer thinks that they're just and right in their anger and their frustration. And I want to say it this way because I don't want to throw the Cancer under the bus, but I feel like Cancer has been giving so much and not receiving in their relationships. It's almost too much of the nurturing energy has been started to be maybe taken for granted a little bit. And now my Cancers are like, whoa, wait a minute here. I do this because I love you, not because I have to do it. And not because I'm required to do it. So I feel like it's a just time to a time of justice to address why you're frustrated. And in doing so, I want to say it this way because I feel like many of you may feel burdened in expressing yourself. Let's say you're a mom, okay? Let's say, or a dad, Cancer mom or dad, and you know that you love your family, you love your children, and yet maybe it's a little too much right now. Maybe everybody had too many loving rats in the maze, and you're feeling just stretched so thin. And you want to assert yourself, but when you do, there's a bit of resistance, and then there's your own sense of obligation as to what you feel is just and right that you should do as a loving parent. And so we're kind of caught because here in the angel's advice is Yvonne asking you to be vulnerable to your emotions. And you may feel slightly burdened by those emotions as if those emotions are a luxury. I don't have the time to be sad. I don't have the time to feel sorry for myself. I've got to get this stuff done. And I feel like I want to say to my Cancers, whoa, take care of you. It's time to make a choice to take care of you. This is a card. Archangel Gabriel is a card of, in this particular deck right now, she's representing having an important life's purpose in arts and communications, but also in feeling insecure. And I want to put it this way because I feel like there could be that my Cancers are irritated and they don't want to be irritated. So they're irritated with themselves. They're irritated with the dynamics. They're feeling a little bit overburdened, overtaxed in the dynamic of their everyday lives. And it could be part of it is just, again, here we have families homeschooling and trying to work from home and trying to work out from home and get rest and all of these dynamics. And it's all being pushed up against a wall right now. So I feel like my Cancers are irritated. They're irritated with others. They're irritated with themselves. And they just want to shake it off is the way I want to put it. It's as if I just don't want to feel this way. And I feel almost like I'm caught. I don't know how to do that. Let me pull one more card for my Cancers, just a clarification card, because there's an element of choice that comes with the mystery card. And on some level, when we love something and we choose to, some people we love are burdened. Some people, they just never step up. That we try We try to give them a leg up, and as many times as we try to give them a leg up, they just don't take the leg up. They just keep waiting for us to keep doing this. And that might be where cancer's getting irritated, because it's like, okay, and then when is it my turn? When is it coming back to me? So, and we pull our clarification card is the bee. Okay, so I want to say this. The bee represents luck. It represents industriousness. It represents victory. But I also want to say it represents my being energy. So it may be just in order for Archangel Uriel to truly help facilitate balancing this growing frustration, it might be the choice to just take care of you for a day or two or three. Did you guys see that commercial? And it's the mom, and she's in the bathroom, and I think she's eating Milano cookies, and the kids are banging on the door, and she's like, "It's Dad," because she's trying to get them to go away. It's okay if you want the people you love to just go away for a minute. It's not like you don't love them. It's more about recalibrating yourself. So, no wasp today. Yeah, that's good, Patricia. The wasp is never a fun energy. Whoops. It's always asking us to be a little bit something. All right, here we go on to our Geminis. The birthday people. Sun, moon, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay. I hope you celebrate in style, CC Pups. Be good to you. All right. Here we go, Gemini. Our first angel is Archangel Gabriel. The second is Rochelle. The third is Daniel. And the final is Indriel. All right. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the Swan. Rochelle is being joined by the Grail Knight. Merlin is joining Daniel. And the restriction card is joining Indriel. Okay. So for my Geminis, I want to say this. There's love here. And it's interesting to me because it feels like it's love in transition. And I want to say it this way because Gemini, when I think of Gemini, I almost kind of think of it as Libra at a higher octave because it feels very much like I go back and forth. Like I can deliberate this side and I can deliberate that side. And then when I feel like I've got that side, I go back over here. Because I want to say it this way. Archangel Gabriel is talking about here transforming the way you communicate. The Swan talks about trusting my intuitive gifts, moving forward on that inner knowing and that transformation from the ugly duckling into the swan. And that comes from the connection to spirit. And I want to say that this is in direct relation to following your heart when it comes to intimate love. Rochelle is about trusting my heart. And as I trust my heart, prosperity is coming to me. Things that I want are coming to me. And the Grail Knight is Lancelot bowing down to the ultimate truth. And this is what I believe that Gemini wants is that love of the heart. And then here's Daniel, the angel of marriage, and Merlin. So I believe that spirit is in some ways bringing your partner to you or bringing a new version of this relationship. But part of your job as a Gemini is to hold space for what you cannot see, to hold space for what appears to be a concept versus an experience. Because in the final position is Indriel, and the restriction card. This restriction card to me is coming across as Saturnian lately. It's, if we think about the astrological skies, the seas are stormy right now. It's not maybe the greatest time to try to solidify something as it is to be flexible as we go through these waves and these small storms that lead to a clearing, to a dawn that we cannot see. And I feel like for my Geminis right now, it's about transforming the way you feel and you think in your connection to spirit, so that spirit can then bring in relationships that are more in alignment with what you want to experience. And I'm going to intimate relationships. I'm going to, that person who has, not dated the right person yet, and they have this idea of connection that you want to experience in that loving relationship. And you've done everything you could do. You've been on the websites, you've gone on the dates, you've speed dated, you've dated. And now it's spirit's job to bring in that counterpart. Because whether you realize it or not, that person may have had a journey of their own to go through in order to be prepared to be the partner that you would have been wanting, the connection that your soul has yearned for. So while there's still a pause, it's time to hold space, keep your light shining, and keep your connection to spirit strong. And thank them for giving you signs and omens that your connection and your faith and your trust is justly put in them. Okay, we're going to go on to our Tauruses. For those of you that have just joined the room, I'm Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, and what I do is these are angelic advice for traversing the transits. I start at Pisces and work my way to Aries. It's a little something I started a while back. So here we go. On to our Tauruses. Now I have to say, Taurus is at Uranus is at 8 degrees Taurus right now. And my natal moon is 9 degrees Taurus. So I went on the little site, and next week, I think on the 10th, maybe, I will have Uranus conjunct my moon. And I've been trying to, really kind of thinking about how that's going to play out. And the reason I say this is because for every Taurus, rising sun, moon, and stelliums, paying attention to Uranus right now. Uranus offering us opportunities to not only liberate ourselves from old patterns, but also to look at how we get in our own way in the midst of those patterns. The stories that we tell ourselves about how we are locked into a corner. Are we? So here we go. Taurus, rising sun, moon, and stelliums. Whoop. Well, our first angel is Adriana. Hasn't she shown herself up? Then we have Crystal. Then we have the Patience. And then we have Archangel Michael. Patricia, yes, I've contemplated this being challenging, and I've set a very strong intention to be brave. That's the best way I want to put it, is to be brave. Because the moon also represents my intuition. It also represents those deeper emotions. It's not just what I'm hung up on or what has been tripping me up, but it's also where I want to go, what I want to experience moving forward. Okay. And I think that's being offered for all of us. So, hi, KK. I'm not going to say it right. It's KK, but I'm not saying that right for some reason, I think. Okay, here we go. Joining Adriana for Taurus is the Grail Knight. Joining Crystal is the Love card. Joining Patience is the Novice. And joining Archangel Michael is the Restriction card. Okay. So Adriana says, I'm leading you to the answers to your prayers, so your dreams, your intuitions, and your subtle thoughts. And there's the Grail Knight, romance, love. It's also illusion. But when I see it, it is Lancelot bowing down to a deeper truth. And I want to offer it this way because, you know, I've told you guys many times I'm of a certain age. I'm 60 years old. I never got married. I never had children. And if I'm to bow down to the deeper truth, it wasn't because marriage wasn't offered to me. It wasn't because I couldn't. It's because I made a decision. There was something deeper that I needed and wanted in the experience of myself before I was willing to move forward in other ways. So I feel like there is the potential for my Taurians to look at their path and their deeper truth and to know that even if they haven't gotten what they wanted or what they thought they wanted, it could be because what you thought you wanted wasn't truly bowing down to a deeper truth, but instead the truth you thought you could obtain. Because that's where I go to Archangel Michael and the restriction card, because I feel like this is about having courage and calling upon Archangel Michael, because your mind is restricted right now, your path. If we think about the challenges that we're looking at in the world right now, it's very hard to see through the fog. There's so much going on right now, and there's so much polarity, because for Taurus, in your opportunity or your obstacle is crystal. Have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon, and that has to do with straight up love. Love of self, love of partnerships, love of community, love in general. What rules Taurus? Venus. What does Venus want? Venus wants love and harmony and peace and to enjoy the luxuries of life. And I feel like that's part of what Adriana is offering, is this looking at whatever potential restrictions as an opportunity to move out what is not supporting a bigger version of what you want for yourself. Because in the angel's advice, in direct relation to standing in the unknown of love, is the patience card, a time to learn and study, a time to gather information, and then the unstable new beginning. This unstable new beginning is based on Taurus not having physical evidence, but instead having evidence that says my heart is going to be all the evidence I need. And part of that is me going through this uncomfortable period of trusting the unknown. As I look at this for Taurus, I'm in my mind's eye, I'm seeing a situation where sometimes we get into connections with other people, and in those connections we find a certain amount of comfort. And I'm just going to be straight up. Like, the first time you're naked with somebody, it really makes you uncomfortable. It's like, oh God, I'm exposing myself. But the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth time, it's not so scary. And then we could get used to it. It may not be an imbalanced situation, but we're used to it. We've gone through that uncomfortable marker, and now we are comfortable. And maybe sometimes Taurus doesn't want to move past that level of comfort to a higher level of comfort. So you're a little bit willing to settle for something that isn't quite right. And I feel like there's an element of that going on here, where the Grail Knight is asking you to bow down to a deeper truth. And that deeper truth may make you slightly uncomfortable in the beginning, but it is what you want in a deeper way of feeling and exchanging love. And now it's time for you to, in many ways, allow for this unstable new beginning as you gather more information about how you receive love, how you need love. Because here we have this restriction card, to me, is coming in direct relation to my courage. It's almost as if I'm afraid as a Taurus. So I want to bow down to a deeper truth and allow Spirit to give me comfort as I move into uncharted waters. That's how I want to put it. All right, let's go on to our final sign, Aries, and then that will be it for this week. Next week, we'll be moving closer and closer to our next eclipse, and Mercury will be starting a retrograde, I believe. as we go into the week after. So now we want to prepare and tie up any loose ends that are mercurial. All right. Tessa, I agree. Gathering in spirit and standing in the energies of love during these times will be so powerful. Okay. Aries, rising sun, moon, and stelliums. Here we go. CJD, is it your birthday too? Happy birthday to you too. A happy birthday this week, if that's it. Okay. The Help is quite a funny movie. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Aries, our first angel is Indriel. The second is Archangel Michael. The third is Archangel Uriel. And the final is Athena. Whoop. Well, I guess this card was coming out. Indriel and the partnership card just flew out of the deck. So we'll take that. Joining Archangel Michael is the Love card. Joining Archangel Uriel is the Serpent. And joining Athena is the Movement card. All right, here we go. For our final sign today, Aries, rising sun, moon, and stelliums. Indriel is a card that says you are a light worker. And I do believe that those of us, we're all light beings. But there are some of us who incarnate to stand in service to all of humanity, to the vibration of love. And I believe that now is a time for us as Aries to stand in partnership with our guides, with our angels, to tuck in even more closely to the vibrations of love versus the warrior that can be triggered within Aries. David Cochran talks about Aries being the truth seeker. And that resonates with me in such a high level because I'm really not a warrior. I don't like pain. I don't like blood. I don't like violence. I actually have the opposite reaction. It actually makes me very docile and small when things get very big. So the world's very big right now. And I feel like this is a moment for us as Aries rising, moon, sun, and stelliums to connect with spirit in a way that is about shining a light. It's not about being in the human body. It's about being courageous in the idea of seeing love during disruption. That's not easy to do sometimes. Sometimes we think of love as all hearts and flowers and running through the fields, but it isn't. Love is disruptive. And we see that in the form of Archangel Uriel helping us deal with the frustration that we may be feeling, the lack of compassion that we may be seeing in others. And this is really offering us an opportunity to hold a space for healing. And the healing comes through a reconciliation of the experience. And I feel like right now, the world is experiencing the ultimate opportunity to choose. What do you want to choose? Do you want to choose to allow others to have their own opinions, even if they don't agree with you? Do you want to choose to I mean, so many ways we could process this. Do I want to choose to be the person who hoards the toilet paper? I feel like this is here's the final position. Athena saying to lovingly assert ourselves. And there's the movement card. I believe there's movement offered, meaning to try to physically move somebody. Oh, think like me, be fair, be just. All the different polarities that we're experiencing. Or can we see us as Aries, rising sun, moon, and stelliums, the light within each one of these polarities? Does the darkness offer us a choice to stand in love? I feel like this is really about stepping into a bigger picture. You know, I'm not an astrologer, but I feel like these planets talk to me. And when I think about Mars and I think about myself and I think about how Mars rules me so much, um, I could take the idea that I'm argumentative. I could take the idea that, I'm willing to go to the mat and to state my case, but I don't really believe that I'm argumentative for the sake of argument. I believe that Mars energy is asking for balance. I have the sun and Mars conjunct in my 7th house of Libra, I guess in whole sign. My sun's in 6th. Mars is in 7th in Placidus. But I think of them as the king and the general working together versus fighting each other. So I feel like for my Aries this week, the partnership with the light side of ourselves, with the light worker within, the soul connection, the vibrational, holding that vibrational frequency of understanding the polarities of light and dark, of day and night, and the choices that they give us. Watching some of the news and watching people choose to, I don't know if you guys saw this, but there in one of the protests, there was a sergeant or whatever, and he was talking to the crowd. And the crowd was basically a peaceful protest. And he was able to get their cooperation because he was willing to take a knee and be vulnerable to the crowd in some respects versus trying to overpower it. He was somehow creating a dynamic of we're in this together. And I feel like that's where I'm going with this. We're in this together. And our job is to remember that through, if you look at Indriel, there is darkness behind her. And she is the one showing the light. She is the one who's saying, I can do this. So this is where I'm going, to lovingly asserting myself and moving myself into a space of a bigger picture. A bigger picture. Is there meaning behind the disruption? Is there opportunity beyond what we just see with our naked eye? So that's where I'm going. I want to thank CJD. Thank you for my little tip there. I like that. That's fun. This is it for this week, you guys. I want to wish everybody a happy birthday that's having a birthday. I want to thank you all again for joining me on Sunday mornings. I really believe that as a community, we are doing more than we realize to spread love and light and to help support the higher frequencies of choice. And of that choice, we help with the ascension. So I want to thank everybody here. Kit Kat, welcome. I didn't see you in the chat earlier. And it just means the world to me to see you all every week here, joining me to hold our light, to stand in as much love as we can, and to be fabulously flawed humans. So have a wonderful week. Remember that we are in retrograde season, so take a breath before we act, because sometimes it's easy to react. May the force be with you. May peace dominate your soul. May love permeate your experience here. And I'll see you all next week at, again, 11 a.m. Pacific time. My name is Teri Hunter. If you'd like to get a reading with me, you can always go to Lada's website. I'm under the reader's menu. That's www.astrolada.com. And I'll see you next week, guys. Bye.